Today we're gonna start the topic of macromolecules. But before starting, let's discuss a certain atom that plays a huge role in the formation and structure of macromolecules. The atom is the carbon. That's why I added the phrase the world of carbon. So let's discuss a carbon-based life. So organic chemistry is the study of compounds that contain carbon, and it ranges from simple molecules to large and more complex ones. So based on our knowledge, most of the organic compounds are made of carbon and hydrogen that is attached to a carbon with covalent bond. The uniqueness of a carbon atom is the fact that it can covalently bond to four different atoms. This can happen because of four valence electrons on the outer shell of the atom that are ready to interact with other atoms. So, in general, a carbon atom must frequently interact with hydrogen, oxygen, and nitrogen. And all these interactions govern the architecture of living things. So, as I mentioned in the previous slide, a carbon atom can form four covalent bonds at the same time. It turns out that depending on the number of single or double covalent bonds that carbon forms with other atoms, the shape of the molecule changes. For example, when carbon makes a single bond with a neighboring molecule, the shape is a tetrahedral, like a pyramid. On the other hand, when carbon atom makes a double bond with other molecules, as it is shown in here, the shape of molecules suddenly flattens, so it becomes flat. The other important feature of a carbon atom is that it can form chains that act as a skeleton of the most organic molecules. The chain can be in different length, can have different number of double or even triple bonds, can be branched or non-branched, and lastly, it can form a ring structures that is shown in here. Okay, now let's more discuss hydrocarbons that I have already mentioned in the beginning of the lecture. So hydrocarbons are organic molecules consisting of only carbon and hydrogen, as it is shown in these images. So many organic molecules such as fats have hydrocarbon components. So the main characteristic of hydrocarbons is that they are hydrophobic and thus does not dissolve in water. So they aggregate to each other, and that's how they can insulate themselves from interacting with water. So under certain circumstances, when a cell is out of out of sugar, hydrocarbons are used as a fuel. So if the cell does not have enough sugar to digest and get energy from it, it uses hydrocarbons. And yet hydrocarbons can undergo reactions that release large amount of energy. And carbon-containing organic molecules are so different so that we can find their isomers. So isomers are compounds with the same molecular formula but different structures and properties. In general, we can define three different types of isomers. A structural isomer have different covalent arrangements of the atoms. As it's shown in here, we see hydrocarbons with the same molecular formula but different arrangement of atoms. Geometric isomers, on the other hand, have the same covalent arrangement but differ in spatial arrangements, as it is shown on the second image. And lastly, enantiomers are a group of isomers that are mirror images of each other. It's similar to our right and left hands. Finally, I want to discuss the functional groups that are components of almost all organic molecules and covalently connected to carbon skeleton, and functional groups are mostly involved in chemical reactions. This is why different arrangements of functional groups give a molecule its unique properties. Here, I have illustrated 7 major types of functional groups that you can see in organic molecules. The functional groups captured in red rectangle are classified as hydrophilic, being polar or charged. Thus, they can easily interact with water. Only methyl group shown in green rectangle has a hydrophobic property, making the molecule less dissolvable in water. This is it for this lecture, and see you in the next one.